Okay, good morning everybody, good morning. A long time since I've put anything on my YouTube channel, so I'm making an effort to put a little 5-minute video on this morning. And today I'm reading from Genesis, the book of Genesis chapter 1, the story of creation. It says, in the beginning, when God created the universe, the earth was formless and desolate. The raging ocean that covered everything was engulfed in total darkness, and the power of God was moving over the water. Now, I'm reading from the Good News version. We know there are many versions of the Bible. The King James version actually says that the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the deep. But we know that it was formless and desolate because all the versions have something similar to that. The earth had no form, it was empty when he first created the universe. And some versions say it was empty, and some versions say it became empty. So there's room there in between Genesis 1 verse 1 and 1 verse 2. There's room in there for what some people refer to as the gap theory. And in fact, they say that there was millions of years in between these two verses, thousands of years or millions of years even, when life could have existed with the dinosaurs and the fossils, and it could explain a lot of things. Now, I'm not going to get into that. That's just another way of looking at it, the way some people look at it, and that's wonderful that there is that possibility. You know, we can see that in between those two verses. But what I wanted to point out was from verse 3 onwards, when God said, "Let there be light," and light appeared. God was pleased with what he saw. Then he separated the light from the darkness, and he named the light day and the darkness night. Evening passed and morning came, and that was the first day. Now, what I want to point out is this word separated. God has a way of separating things before he puts them back together again. It's a bit like a picture of a jigsaw, and you separate it all, but then you can put it back together again and you still can see the big picture. But he uses this word separate quite a lot in the Bible, and another word is divide, or it's linked to the word for holiness, which is sanctification. As believers, we are separated, we're sanctified, we're set apart. But here's the first time you see it use, this word separated, when God separated light from darkness. He said first the earth was without form and it was empty, and it said it was engulfed in darkness, and the Spirit of God was hovering. But then God separated light from darkness. That means that light and darkness was there, within the darkness kind of thing. Because it says it appeared, he separated it. He separated the light from the darkness. He named the light day and the darkness night. And that was the first day. Now, this light must have been something different to the stars in the sky and the sun and the moon, because we don't see that until later on day 4, when he creates the heavenlies. Let me read on. Verse 6 says, then God commanded, let there be a dome to divide the water and keep it in 2 separate places. And here we've got separation again. So we've got waters below the earth and waters above the earth. And again, God is separating. And so God made a dome, and it separated the water under it from the water above it. He named the dome sky. Evening passed and morning came. That was the second day. Then God commanded, let the water below the sky come together in one place, so that the land will appear. And it was done. He named the land earth, and the water which he had come together, he named it sea. See, he's separated again. He's separating the land and the sea. So God is a God of separation at times. And he was here in the beginning, wasn't he? Then he commanded, let the earth produce all kinds of plants, those that bear grain and those that bear fruit. And it was done. So the earth produced all kinds of plants, and God was pleased with what he saw. Evening passed and morning came. That was the third day. Then God commanded, let lights appear in the sky to separate the day from the night. There we go. There's day 4 when God is commanding lights to appear in the sky. And now this separates day and night. And it also shows the time when days and years and religious festivals begin. They will shine in the sky to give light to the earth, and it was done. So God made the 2 larger lights, the sun to rule over the day and the moon to rule over the night. And he also made the stars. But again, what I'm really pointing out here is he's separating the darkness and the light, the night and the day. He placed the lights in the sky to shine on the earth, to rule the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness. And God was pleased with what he saw. Evening passed and morning came. That was the 4th day. Now, I hope you're getting it, that there has to be separation before there is fullness and joining together. And it's a kind of a backward maths for those of us that understand multiplication and division. We know that division is the opposite of multiplication. We know that addition is the opposite of subtraction. So in God's mathematics, he has to divide before he can multiply, because later on he's going to tell man to multiply and fill the earth. Verse 20 says, God commanded, let the water be filled and many kinds of living beings, and let the air be filled with birds. So God created the great sea monsters, all kinds of creatures that live in the water, and all kinds of birds. And God was pleased with what he saw. He blessed them all and told the creatures that live in the water to reproduce and to fill the sea. And he told the birds to increase in number. Evening passed and morning came. That was the 5th day. Then God commanded, let the earth produce all kinds of animal life, domestic and wild, large and small. And it was done. So God made them all, and he was pleased with what he saw. Then God said, and now we will make human beings. They will be like us and resemble us. They will have power over the fish, the birds, and all the animals, domestic and wild, large and small. So God created human beings, making them to be like himself. He created them male and female. He blessed them and said, have many children. There we go, multiply. He now wants us to multiply, so that your descendants will live all over the earth and bring it under their control. I am putting you in charge of the fish, the birds, and the wild animals. I have provided all kinds of grain and all kinds of fruit for you to eat. But for all the wild animals and for all the birds, I have provided grass and leafy plants for food. And it was done. God looked at everything he had made, and he was very pleased. Evening passed and morning came, and that was the 6th day. Chapter 2, and so the whole universe was completed. By the 7th day, God finished what he'd been doing, and he stopped working. He blessed the 7th day and set it apart. Again, he separated it. He set it apart as a special day, because by that day he had completed his creation and stopped working. And that is how the universe was created. So I just wanted to point out that God separates. He divides before he multiplies. And so it is with the spiritual being. When we are born again, when we are saved, he separates us, he sanctifies us. It says his word is sharper than a two-edged sword, and it cuts and it heals. And I'm going to go into that more on the next session. But for now, just know that God's maths is not the same as ours. He does things the way he does them. We don't understand all his ways, but he is a perfect God. And he knew exactly what he was doing and how he was going to do it. And that's just in Genesis chapter 1. A little nugget for you this morning. God separates before he puts it back together again in a perfect way. Amen. God bless you.